Hello YouTube, Goddard Radio Mosky here again with another beer review for you as is usual. Now for this one we're going to go back to Brewdog and we're going to look again at the IPA Is Dead range from 2013. So the second video review I'm going to do from this range is of the El Dorado, and this hop comes to you from the Pacific Northwest in America. And as I mentioned to you in the last video, all of these beers are single hop IPAs, so it's very cool because you can see what each different hop kind of contributes to the flavours of beers that you're getting from Brewdog. So as is usual then with my beer reviews, I'll take you through a very brief history of Brewdog. I've done this a number of times before, so it will be a very short one, but as always, if you are simply just interested in the tasting of this beer, feel free to go on to a few minutes into the video and you will catch that. And as always as well, the brewery website's in the video description along with the link to my other Brewdog beer reviews, and there will be more of these to come in the future, so if you are interested in Brewdog beer, subscribe to the channel and you can expect another good few reviews of these guys. But anyway, Brewdog were founded back in 2007 by two guys, James Watt and Martin Dickey, and over the last 7 years they've really grown to become the flag carrier of Scottish craft beer. You can get these guys all over the world now, Australia, New Zealand, all throughout Europe, South America, North America, and I believe probably South Africa these days as well. So a very, very kind of big brewery these days. The original brewery was a little facility in Fraserburgh in the very northeast corner of Scotland, but now they have a kind of purpose-built facility in Ellon, which is about 20 miles or so to the north of the city of Aberdeen. And obviously these guys are very famous for being an experimental brewery. Any style of beer you can probably think off the top of your head, these guys will have done it at some point in their history. The only downside to this brewery in fact is that they brew so many different beers that sometimes they only do them once. They'll produce some really awesome beer but you won't ever see it again. That's the only downside to these guys. But pardon me, they are largely inspired by the American craft brewing renaissance scene, if you like, and they're also very well known for their strong beers as well. They've had the title of World's Strongest Beer on 3 occasions, but these days they're more focusing on getting their beer out there and, you know, opening up a lot of brew pubs around the world. The most recent one they opened up was in Florence in Italy, and there's new ones coming in Cardiff, Liverpool and Dundee in Scotland as well. That's the most recent ones, but they've got a whole host of these throughout the UK, and if you go on their website there and have a little look at them, you will see all of the locations here. But another really cool recent event is that they have actually opened up a bottle shop in London called Brewdog. So you might see these popping up all over the place, or indeed with some of their new bars they might actually integrate them into the new bar. But anyway, that's your sort of brief history of the Brewdog brewery. Anyway, as I say, the sort of flag carriers of Scottish craft beer. But just to tell you a little bit about the actual hop that goes into this beer, as I mentioned to you, these guys are all 6.7% single hop IPAs. They use a malt base of Maris Otter, crystal malt and caramel there. Sorry about that, but the El Dorado hop itself actually comes from the Pacific Northwest in the USA, and it's noted for its exceptional aromatic and high alpha acid contents. And apparently it's also very good. It's very good to use in IPAs, and it gives a lot of tropical fruit flavours as well as some pear, watermelon and some sort of candied fruit flavours as well. So it should be a really interesting single hop IPA, this one. I'll just bring up the camera then, we'll get on to the tasting of this beer, and I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork. It's the sort of standard Brewdog artwork on this guy. As I mentioned to you in the last one, it's quite unusual because on these IPA Is Dead ones the crest is in the centre instead of over to the right, but it's the standard Brewdog style of artwork there. I'll just read out the blurb to you in this one. It says, "At Brewdog we are insanely passionate about hats, rock and roll, penguins, avoiding ghosts and hops. We bloody love hops. We felt it was time the hops went solo and got their own primetime show. IPA Is Dead showcases 4 killer hop varieties from 4 different continents. The result was 4 radically different single hop IPAs. Each IPA contains the same malt backbone and is brewed to be 75 IBU and is enthusiastically kettle hopped and dry hopped with Waimea, El Dorado, Dana and East Kent Golding hops. To appreciate the true character, flavour, power and aroma of our favourite hops, you need them in their purest, undiluted form. Can you say you've ever experimented 100% pure hop awesomeness? IPA Is Dead is brewed and bottled to do just that." So that's your brief Brewdog blurb on this one. They always write crazy things on the side of their bottles. This is the bottle cap, one of the standard ones from Brewdog, of course, the white with the blue shield there. But as I say, it's a 6.7% single hop IPA, and it uses Maris Otter, crystal malt and caramel as its malt base. So let's get this guy out and get it into the glass then. As you can see, a nice little bit of a smoky opening there. I'll just pour it out and see how we get on. The last one I reviewed for you was the Waimea, and I really liked how the pine resin, it was quite dusty, had a nice sort of dusty mouthfeel to it, and it seemed that the pine resin was the sort of main contributor to the flavour in that one. So we'll see how we get on here. So as you can see, it's actually poured, it's a bit more red, I think, than the Waimea beer was, and you can smell the sort of candied and tropical fruits off this guy already. But as you can see, if I bring this up to the light there, you can see it's a nice, really kind of hazy, bright orange golden colour. I think it's just a little bit redder than the Waimea was. The Waimea, of course, was from New Zealand, but as you can see, it's got just a half finger of a really kind of white frothy head. If I hold it up to the light, there's not really much in the way of just a tiny little bit of carbonation going up to the top of the head there, but it looks like a really beautiful beer, getting a bubble coming out of the bottle there. But let's give it a sugar up and see how we can get on with the taste here. It's really strong tropical fruit smell from this one. You're getting a lot of pineapple and kind of grapefruit in there, but it's quite subtle. Again, the pine resin in this one, I think, is quite forward. And you can get the caramel, I think, is a bit more pronounced in this one. It's not so overpowered, as I think, as it was in the last one. If you kind of sugar it up just a little bit and breathe it in quite deeply, you get the nice sort of, pardon me, sweet caramel bready malt base in there. The malt base actually smells very inviting on this one, but it's got a lot of kind of grapefruity and pineapple, piney resin in there. That's the one thing I'm noticing with this. You can pick up just a little bit of the sort of pear flavours in the aroma. You can get that just mixing in there. It does have just that nice little peary quality to it. But let's give it a taste and see how we get on here. Yeah, very different. As I say, very cool to see how the different hops here. It's very different from the Waimea. Yeah, this one, the flavours aren't quite as pronounced in Waimea actually. It doesn't have such a sharp flavour, I would say. And it is quite aromatic. You've got a lot of nice kind of aromatic-y and floral character in this one, I think. I'm picking up the sort of pear flavours. After the sort of initial sharpness goes away, you're starting to get the pear flavours just kind of sitting nicely on the middle of the tongue there. But yeah, you've got a nice sort of pineapple-y mixed with grapefruit in there. The pineapple isn't too sharp, it's blended very well, but it kind of blends with that sort of pear and grapefruit flavour. So it's a really interesting one, this. It's not, from my impression of this one, is that the fruity flavours aren't too sharp in this one, and compared in the aroma you do smell quite a lot of the pine resin. It's quite pronounced, but it's not so pronounced in the beer as it was in the Waimea one actually. It does have a little bit of fruity flavour that's almost reminiscent of what you get in sweets or candy as well. And that's what they say that the hop brings out actually. So you are getting, on the opening you're getting the nice sort of fruity and sweet flavours, and as I say, you're getting a lot of kind of fresh aromatic character to it, and that helps bring out the pine resin just a little bit, but it is fairly subtle, I would say. But yeah, it's quite an interesting one. This one, the Waimea was quite a prominent one for the pine resin flavours to come out, but this hop is actually, to me it seems as if the flavours are better blended in this one actually, I would say. But yeah, you're opening up with a nice sort of pineapple and grapefruit fruit mix with some pear in there as well, and you've got just a little bit of sort of, like I say, some candied fruit in there. When you get onto the malt base, the caramel is quite nice and sweet, but it's not too prominent actually. It's more in the background in the way of the hops, but that's what they were wanting. Brewdog, as I've said a million times before, are a hop-headed brewery, but you do have just a little bit of that kind of bready and sort of biscuity caramel base in the background, and then on the aftertaste you're just getting a little bit of that pine resin with the grapefruit flavour, the sort of mixed fruit flavour sitting on the middle of the tongue. But this one actually, to me, in terms of the mouthfeel, this guy obviously is light to mid-bodied. It doesn't have the same sort of dusty mouthfeel that the Waimea had. The Waimea was nice because it had this really kind of unusual sort of dusty flavour, dusty mouthfeel to it. But this guy is more sort of a little bit syrupy, slightly oily, I think is fair to say. And this guy has just a tiny little bit of dry character as well, but it's very, very smooth. And I think the sort of the mouthfeel to this one, this guy does kind of taste quite a bit fresher than the other one did as well. So it's really interesting in that sense. I think this hop is maybe a little bit more mild than the Waimea was, but really, really interesting beer, and really nice, as I say, to be able to try these hops on their own. Really, really cool in that sense, I would say. But this is another really, really nice beer from Brewdog. Yeah, if you sort of take a little gulp of it, you'll start to get the pine resin kind of resonating around the tongue a little bit. But again, it's a really, really nice beer. As I say, the comparison I would make from the Waimea IPA Is Dead beer is that this guy is a little bit more fresh. The pine resin isn't quite so prominent, and the fruits are a bit more blended together, whereas in the Waimea they were a bit more sort of separated, if you like. But it's another very, very nice beer. If you do get the chance to try any of the beers from the IPA Is Dead range, give them a try. I've got the 2014 box set that I'll do for you at a later date as well, but I'm just getting through the 2013 range for you just now. But anyway, this is another really nice beer from Brewdog. If you get the chance, give it a try. And as always, I hope you've enjoyed my beer reviews. Please let me know in the comments section your own thoughts on the beers. It's always interesting to hear that. But I thank you again for watching my beer reviews. And please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. I'll be back tomorrow doing, I think, either the Dana or the Goldings one tomorrow. I've not decided that yet. But I will catch you soon with another beer review. And there's 2 more from this IPA Is Dead 2013 range. I'll catch you soon. Cheers.